We have some pretty big dinosaur news that might end up changing a lot of things. So I'm sure that you're familiar with the ceratopsian dinosaurs, that being the horned dinosaurs like Triceratops. Well, we know that ceratopsians were fairly common towards the Cretaceous period. However, one location where we didn't really have a lot of evidence for their existence was in Europe. I mean, we found a few ceratopsian fossils here and there, but they were always so fragmentary that we couldn't ever get a good idea of the diversity that that group of dinosaurs had. Until now, that is, because it seems a lot of things are going to change now. Recently, there's been more skull material assigned to the ceratopsian known as oaseratops. This fella did live in Europe, which is awesome. It's great that we found more fossils like that, but that's not the biggest thing about oaseratops. The biggest thing is that it seems to be the same species as a rhabdodontid that was found there. Now, if you don't know, rhabdodontids, they're a group of ornithopods that were fairly common in Europe towards the Cretaceous period. Well, the fact that this ceratopsian that we found is the same species as a rhabdodontid means that that rhabdodontid is probably not a rhabdodontid and rather is a ceratopsian. Oh, and if you're curious, the rhabdodontid was known as Mochlodon. Now, to make sure that I'm completely clear with this, that would mean that Mochlodon is actually oaseratops. I decided to add this little bit afterwards to again, make sure that that's clear. Now, why is this a big deal, you might be asking? Well, that brings the question up. That brings a really big question up. How many rhabdodontids have been incorrectly identified as rhabdodontids when in reality they are ceratopsians? Well, the authors of this paper set out to figure that out, and they looked at other rhabdodontid specimens like Zalmoxes, for example. And actually, it seems like a species of Zalmoxes is not a rhabdodontid. Rather, it is a ceratopsian, one that has been renamed Pharyncoceratops. Now, there is another species of Zalmoxes known as Zalmoxes robustus that still seems to be Zalmoxes, probably still a rhabdodontid. But what that shows us is that yes, there are other rhabdodontids that have been misidentified as such. In reality, most likely they are ceratopsians, which means the ceratopsians might have been fairly common in Europe during the Cretaceous period. So in a lot of ways, this paper kind of highlights the fact that we probably need to take a look at some, fossils that were identified a long time ago and just reevaluate them and see if there's anything else that we can figure out about them, with our updated techniques and our updated understanding of these animals. So yeah, it's very exciting stuff. It shows that ceratopsians were probably a little bit more prevalent in Europe during the Cretaceous period, and it also shows that maybe we should be looking at more museum collections and trying to figure out if maybe something that was misidentified in the past is actually something else. We might learn a lot going forward from that.